All right. So,
Tell me why you're here, Josh. What we're doing.
all right.
I want to say one thing before you say anything. I just want to say that I'm glad we had this opportunity to get together finally. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and we owe it to the military because we're going through a process of unfunding request for items that we may need for the shop and that Mike needs for his shop. So he was in here helping me out, showing me how to do the process because it was my first time, and we figured it would be a great opportunity since we're here together, we're allowed to be together, to go ahead and film another podcast. It's been long overdue.
Few weeks, and I think I might have lied in a couple of my chats that I had from the office and from the basement office and from the porch. I lied and said we'd have something to you. I think we, with no excuses, we don't give those. There was some technology glitches that I don't know if they're glitches or we're just not smart, but I think we figured it out.
We're just not smart with it. We're learning. It's a learning process. This is a new venture for us. We're kind of older and don't understand the technology as much as some other people may understand it, so it took us a little bit of time, but I think we're where we need to be, so that you should be hearing more from us and doing more podcasts. We're going to be doing it via Skype, obviously, until we can get the go-ahead to go back to somewhat of a normal life and be able to do these on a more frequent basis in person. So
we also have some between the two of us and others, we had people reach out that actually want to get in on this action, and I think I don't, again, no challenges. I don't do that, but a request that if you want to be a part of this and you feel like it's time to speak to the world or speak to your friends or speak out, please contact us and we can do this and Skype, or when COVID lifts, we want to do this with a lot of people and get people out there to tell them their magic.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. So
yeah,
we're doing ourselves, but we've had a lot of people ask about how they can be a part of this, and we have people lined up coming your way here in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, it's actually pretty exciting. I had somebody reach out to me. We'll talk in a couple weeks with him, and he's kind of got his own business venture that he's going to be doing. It's kind of excited. I tried to line it up yesterday, but it just didn't work out. He wasn't ready for it, but I'll be hearing from him in a couple weeks. And I know Mike has been talking to a few people, and I think we might have something come up this weekend that we might do.
Yeah, we're hoping to. Again, no promises, but we're trying our best.
Yeah.
There's a piece that we have to, it's technology, and then it's another version of technology with editing and trying to get, as we learn, the best version of a product that we can create on our own to you all. So if we take extra time, there are actually real reasons, but we're trying our best to get better with it.
Yeah, and then other thing too, please feel free to comment on the videos and stuff that you guys are seeing on Facebook. That Mike and I are doing. We want the interaction, we want your thoughts, we want your opinions, because the only way that we're going to make that better is through you guys. Obviously, we have our own opinions on what we're doing, but we really are entrusting it to you guys to let us know how we're doing and what your thoughts and your opinions are for this. That's what is driving this machine right now. Obviously, we can't do the things that we initially intended to do because of the COVID-19. We can't get out, we can't interact with the public, we can't do the things that Mike had lined up to do with volunteering for some of the things. But as time goes on and things start to loosen up a little bit and we can get out and do those things, that's definitely where we're going to be. But right now we're just kind of focused on a time of reflection. Mike's done a couple of podcasts on his own talking about reflection. I've done one or two on the reflection, especially with me having the injury. Still healing, obviously. I don't know if you guys can notice with my eye, but it's going to be a little bit of a process to get through and for me to get 100% with that. With that being said, the real focus of this podcast is we wanted to kind of talk about our beginnings, where we started with this, and what really drove us in the direction that we went with our passion with lifting, and kind of give you guys a little insight on us as individuals. And the one thing that I want us to keep in mind is sort of the topic of this discussion is going to be pillars of strength, and that's kind of what we focus our mantra on when we're doing this stuff. We rely heavily on those pillars of strength, and when I talk about that, I'm talking about there's 4 basic pillars of strength. I'm talking about your physical ability, mental ability, your emotional, and your spiritual ability. All right, all of those in connection, when they're all running on all cylinders, that gives you your full strength and your full ability to achieve and do the things that you want. We'll kind of touch on each one of those throughout this podcast, but I think it's important that we discuss this because, you know, in this time with everything, I mean, we're how many weeks into this now?
The virus?
Yeah.
I would say we're a good 7 weeks into it as a situation, but I would say for us, Delaware, or maybe how things have shut down, I would say we're a good 5.
Yeah.
A good 5. We
So-
saw it coming early, but a good 5 for actually in this idea of like having to change our norms.
Yeah, and you know, talking with people, I mean, it does get a little bit crazy because we go stir crazy. I know I'm a very oriented person. I like to get my hands on. I like to do a lot of things, and we're kind of limited on the things that we can do because of the restraints that we have. Me being in New Jersey, everywhere I go, I have to have a mask with me. You can only have so many people in a store at once. You know, it gets a little overwhelming sometimes because you feel consolidated to your own little bubble, being that your home. And I have a full home. So I can understand where people are coming from when they say that they really don't know what to do with themselves. But what we try to do and what we focus on, I mean, we practice what we preach, is we've reflected on some things and shortfalls that we have in our life, and we've looked back to these pillars of strength to kind of give us a little bit of guidance and encouragement with what we want to do and where we want to go from that. So I know for me personally, the one thing that we always talk about is the fact of being able to get in front of a camera and get in front of a large crowd of people and be able to talk openly and discuss pretty personal things. And I think from where I've started and where we're at right now, I think I've come a long way. I would say that was one of the goals that I initially had set for myself to be able to accomplish, and I think I've done pretty well with that.
100%. I'm not being a judge. I'm saying watching that happen. I was just talking earlier with some folks here, some comrades we have here, about watching you go, I don't want to say it is growth, but watching your comfort level with what we were talking about to actually where you're at is. I'm not judging your growth. I'm saying you're in a different place.
Yeah, and with that being said, that's kind of driven me a little bit further and driven me to some more challenges, especially with my social anxiety. You know, I've always had an anxiety issue when I go out and do into large crowds and stuff like that. Just looking over my shoulder, constantly feel like I'm being watched or whatever. And that's really taken away a big part of my life, especially with my family and my kids, because my wife, she is a very outgoing person. She loves to do activities, she loves to go places, and she loves to get the kids out and interact and do those types of things. And it always gives me anxiety because I know we're going to a place where it's enclosed and there are a lot of people, and I just go and freak out. So one of the things I want to try to work on, and I think this project is going to help me do that. That was my wife. I'll give her a call back here when we're done. But anyway, like I was saying, going into the large crowds, I mean, it's something that it gives me the anxiety, and it's one of the things that I need to work on. And I think this project is helping me to do that, because I'm going to set the goal for myself when all this breaks and the weather starts to get a little bit better outside. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do those things with my family and with my kids, and I'm not going to worry about what's going on around me, because I want to experience the things that they're experiencing, and I want to be a part of all of that and not have to worry about, you know, who's standing over my shoulder or who's looking at me or who's, you know, looking funny at my kids. I have to get out there, and I have to enjoy those things with my kids and have those memories. So that's one of the personal things that I'm going to set for myself. And the other thing too is, you know, the way I go about interaction with my wife and everything, you know, I kind of hold back on things. I'm not that much of a social person. Obviously, you probably wouldn't think that because of the way I'm interacting here on the camera with you guys, but I really don't have that social interaction with her, and I think that's detrimental to our relationship. And I'm going to try to be more open and to discuss a lot more things with her and just have that intimate conversation with her. So all of that has come from us sitting in this time of reflection and realizing what some of our shortfalls may be, and figuring out a plan on how we're going to do that. And that's all based off of the 4 things from the pillars of strength that we have with us. I mean, you know, we always have that physical ability. Obviously, my physical ability has been limited over these past couple weeks because of the injury, but that's also given me a little bit more time to strengthen myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and figure out where I want to be in life. And then once I heal fully, then I can go back into that physical mode and encompass everything as a whole. So I just, you know, and the passion for me for all of this started probably when I came into the military. And that was back in 2003. And that's, you know, my early beginnings in the military is when I actually met Mike. We weren't in the same shop, obviously. We didn't work together, but he actually came into my world with me being in the firehouse and working there full time. He would come up and he would use the gym to work out because we didn't have a gym on base back then. And our interaction started there. And, you know, we'd have our comings and goings. And then as time progressed, him and I had started to get a little bit more of a relationship. And my experience in the gym started to get a little bit more heavy. And then I had a couple other things that had happened in my life. I stepped away from it. And then getting a new job working as a firefighter at the nuclear power plant, one of the senior leaders over there, one of the shift managers, actually happened to be part owner of a local gym over here, the training center, and he was always talking to me about coming over, trying out, and I was like, yeah, you know, I want to get into it, but I didn't have the time because of my work schedule. And then finally one day I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go do it. So he gave me the gym membership pass for, you know, like I think it was like a 1-day pass or something like that. Went over there, got in there, and it was like a completely different world to me because of the atmosphere and the energy and the positivity. And it's just, it's
like an embracement.
It's an embracement of that. And it's not like your normal, no offense, Planet Fitness-esque gym. I mean, it's a serious freaking gym. I mean, you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and his Gold's Gym and stuff like that, and that's the feeling that you get in there. They're, you know, the people are there because they want to be there, they want to work out, and they encourage people to work out. So I started working out there. I started to meet people. I started to see a personal trainer because I wanted to be a better me, a better person, and I wound up becoming really good friends with him. And to this day, I still talk to him. I even competed with him. I did my first competition with him and a couple other people in the gym. And that's where my passion really started. I mean, I thought I wanted to go in there, and I saw Fred Smalls because he's a part of the gym there. He has his own, that's his personal training company that's in there, and that's how I got connected with them. And I saw him, he's a bodybuilder and everything. I was like, that's what I want to do. And then I saw the amount of time and effort and food and supplements and all of that, and I'm like, I really can't do that with my budget. So what else am I going to do? So I started talking to a couple other people, and then that's when I got hooked on powerlifting. And from there, I just, you know, went in and started to do the powerlifting thing. And they're like, hey, we're going to do this competition. Maybe you should try it. So that's when 2015 I went to Lancaster and I did the powerlifting meet with those guys, and I actually wound up taking first place for my weight class and the division that I did for RPS, which was an awesome experience. And then the passion just kind of drove from there.
Can you? This is all Josh's stuff. Just can you talk about? Not interviewing you. I just don't want you to forget. You were very proud and very excited about the way your team, which either coached you coached them, or you guys worked together. You talked about how dedicated and how much part of a family dynamic you felt with those guys, and how they weren't going to let you down, and they weren't expecting anything but your best that day.
Absolutely.
Can you? I don't want to bring this back to my part of this, but I do want people. Everybody has their passions. We've talked about this 1,000 times. Artwork, music. We know all the different things. For the lifter, or for somebody who finds there's a fascination within of strength, can you just, in your own words, obviously, explain to people that want to watch this what that meant to you, having that kind of camaraderie around you in that specific time frame, training for a powerlifting event? Can you talk about how that impacts somebody, can impact somebody?
Oh, I mean, it's to me, without the support system of a team or the camaraderie or the friendship that you have, without that support system, you're going into something blind. And To me, them being there and supporting me throughout the entire process and learning from those guys. I mean, I had a guy that I was working with who still works out. He's 75 years old, and the man can deadlift like 425 pounds. I sat there and watched this guy, and
No excuses.
I'm like, if he can do that, why can't I?
Right.
You know, and he was there faithfully every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 o'clock. That was our time that we went in there, and that's when we worked out. It was me, my personal trainer, the individual I'm talking about, and there was another woman there. I don't want to mention any names right now just because of the fact that I haven't got their permission to, but you guys know who you are. I love you guys. I respect you. And without you guys, I mean, honest to God, I wouldn't be here today talking about this and being as passionate as I am about this. You guys inspired me throughout the entire phase of my growth in the powerlifting world, and now I'm moving on and doing the strongman world with Mike. I mean, I still have my roots in powerlifting because we can associate powerlifting with strongman with some of the lifts, but I mean, without you guys there supporting me through that, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't have the passion that I have, and I owe a lot of that pride and passion to you guys, and I mean that. I really do. Hopefully sometime here in the near future we can get you guys on here and I can introduce you guys personally. Like I said, I just don't want to do it now because I don't have the permission. And the other support system too is my wife. I mean, she was there with me. She was pregnant when we were there actually at the meet, and you know, she was fully on board with this. She was actually doing some of the training with us as well. I mean, it's all about the support system. I mean, if you don't have the support system and somebody there cheering you on, you might as well not get up on stage and try to do the best you can do. I mean, you can do it, obviously, but without the support system, I think it really means a lot to have that camaraderie.
That win that you obviously won, that win would have still been a win if there was 10 people competing, and Josh came in first place that day, and the next day he would have come in last place. That doesn't matter. The trophy's cool. You blow it, dust it off for once in a while and go, hey, check this out. I think the win comes from the fact that you went through the process.
Correct.
And I feel like, again, I'm not trying to steal your thunder. I'm trying to just bring out some of the things that you talk about with me. I feel like that journey that is now, I don't want to say the apex because we haven't gotten anywhere near that yet. We're working on that. So as you're climbing, and that climb becomes more apparent, and there's a mission with that climb, you grab the mission and you start going up. I feel like that was there's many springboards, but that may have been one in a sequence of events that win on the W in that win column there may have been something else that pushed you, or would you say in your words, that was one of the ones that made you a true believer in what you were doing?
Absolutely,
That's,
yeah. And it's not even a personal win for me. For me, I think it was a team win because, I mean, we all walked out of there. The majority of us walked out of there with a trophy in hand, but it wasn't about the trophies. It was about everybody being together and being there to support each other. And because of that, you know, we were able to succeed as a team, and it was a team effort.
Yeah, and I feel like when people are together, I don't want to keep dissecting words, but I feel like that's how we operate best. I like English. I know you do too. I feel like when you hear somebody, you reflect, you can bring something else to the surface that they're trying to get to or might not be getting to, but you want to help them with it. Again, not being the interviewer and interviewee, but just because we're talking like this, would you say that I feel for me, it's not about the people around you in terms of numbers or, hey, I have this many friends, or somebody text messaged me. I feel like a certain type of individual for that particular thing you were doing had to be the installing and installation of certain types of people around you is what helps you get that W.
Yeah.
In other words, you wouldn't have been satisfied with just having people around you.
Yeah.
You need to have the right people around
Correct.
you. And I think that's where you and myself, and I think, and this is not a boastful thing, this is just when you go to a different place in terms of depth mentally, and a lot of times the introverted people that are a lot of times, like Josh explained, nervous or a little bit more gun shy to be out in that big environment, that could be a million reasons. Military PTSD, it could be anxiety issues, childhood. It could simply be introvert, extrovert stuff. Whatever it ends up being for you, we can go through psychology all day, and that's really important. But I think a lot of it stems from when you're in that unsure environment, it's because the wolves are out there. And I feel like in these types of environments where you're talking about where does your strength journey come from, these are people that understand you.
Correct.
They understand you because they have the same isms in their own way. And this is where people that do other things, like you all out there in TV land, as they say, will find the same type of comforts, but also the same type of push and real support when you have people around you that actually understand you. And for you to understand somebody or to be understood by somebody, that is mandatory, a mandatory depth. You're going to go deeper with those people, and I feel like with that journey that you were on, and the whole time, but especially that contestual journey you were on, I feel like you were surrounded by what I would refer to as the right people.
And I still am to this day. I mean,
you gained that at that point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I talk about the one guy being my personal trainer, but now he is my friend. I mean, he's a successful personal trainer, and him and his wife, I mean, they are freaking rock stars, man. I mean, they're always boasting positivity. I never go without a day on Instagram where they are not posting positive things. I mean, they've taken it upon themselves. So not only is he a personal trainer and giving back that way, he was a prior Marine. You know, his wife is in the medical field, which I commend you through this whole thing.
Yeah,
and then
they're the ones that need to have
on top of that, they are both volunteer firefighters and EMTs. Yeah. So not only are they doing it day in and day out, being paid to do this, but they're also sacrificing their time. Right. And volunteering and doing this. So
they serve in every which way.
Correct. I mean, and that's an amazing thing to me. I mean, me being a volunteer, being in the emergency services, I mean, I commend them for what they're doing, and they're always boasting the positive energy, and I just can't say enough about them. I love you guys. You know who you are. Hopefully I can get you guys on here, and you guys will want to be on here and share your positive thoughts. But like I said, I mean, those guys are, without a doubt, the group of people that I have in that gym, and to this day, I mean, I can still walk in there, and I will after all this is done, and you know, you talk to them like it was just yesterday that you guys were talking.
That's called the cousin syndrome.
Yeah.
You can pick right up where you left off with your cousins most of the time, because they were not your brother or sister. They were like this best friend and a family member, and it's like there's a thing with that where you can always see them again. And even though it might be 5 months or 5 years, somehow those tracks come together, and you go, you know what? I still love you. Let's go throw the football.
And you and I had that energy too, because
for almost 20 years.
When I worked over at the plant and I'm working the shift work and I'm on the crazy hours and the crazy schedule. I mean, it's hard to have that interaction, and you're always active at doing things. But every month when we came in for drill, it's like we picked up like it was yesterday.
In a non-pretentious way.
Correct.
Again, I think you're going to hear it. It might be driven home to the point where some people get tired of hearing it. But again, the biggest piece of this, well, there's a lot of biggest pieces, but a huge piece of the pie of this project is to demand and command depth from people. Meaning, everybody has a deeper being. We might say we're deeper. We want to get even deeper. Like I said, commanding depth. We don't want to command anybody to do anything, nor do we want to be commanded to. We do want to demand that if you're going to be a part of this process, you bring only something very basic to the table, and it's the willingness to take a look at yourself and try to find a way to go deeper. Now, if you're this deep already, or you're this deep, or you're just on the shallow surface, don't worry about that. Just find a way to go a little bit more. Some of us are naturally more developed in certain ways. That kind of lends itself back. I'm pointing to the paper like you can see it. That goes back and lends itself to one of the pillars of strength, and the development of your entire person. And the deeper you go, and the fears you face, and you step out like Josh is talking about, and getting yourself involved in things that you really are interested in, you are going to find people along the way that are going to provide challenges to you. They're also going to find you challenging for them. But the common goal is to be supportive and to be there and to actually smile when somebody makes a success equal to or bigger than your own, because you realize that you played a part in their success. And it's called, we talked about it last time, it's a revolving door of positive energy, and the ball gets bigger and bigger. It almost sounds ridiculous to certain people, but actually it's how so many folks nowadays are starting to live their life. Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, you're fine. I mean,
empowerment piece. This is what this project quite literally is.
Yeah, and what we're doing is we're basically giving you examples of, through our experiences in life and how things have empowered us to come to do the things that we're doing now and what we plan on doing in the future. You know, if this were 10, 15 years ago,
yes.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to sit here and go and tell you all of my personal business just because I wasn't that open of a person. But
and maybe not. This is a positive thing. Maybe not that developed.
No,
that's
absolutely.
That's not a fear word. That's
absolutely.
a word that you say, I'm more developed now than I was then, and I know I got a long way to develop.
Oh yeah,
that's huge. You got to own both ends of that.
And this is a learning experience. This whole project that we're doing is a learning experience for us, and what we're going to find out. And I'm honestly excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to take this journey and start a new path in life. You know, we talk about open doors, right? So
100%.
This door has always been there for us.
And you too. The doors are always open.
Correct.
If you can see them.
Yep. And then, you know, so we just finally took the step and passed through the door, and this is the journey that we're taking. Yep. So, yep. And you guys are coming along. So, you know, like, it's all, like he says, it's all about that positive energy. It's all about that support system and that support structure. And when we post things on Facebook and we encourage you to do things, or we encourage you to reach out if you need help, we are being sincere. We mean that. We don't want you to feel that there's nobody out there for you or there's no help. There is help. It just look at it as those doors that are open for you. You just need to be able to see them. All right. You have to reach out. You have to want to be able to step out and take that journey or take that leap of faith and rely on people to help you if you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's an interesting time. It's been an interesting reflection time for me for the most part. And I know it's been an interesting time for you for reflection. I mean, it's opened up a lot of things to you and made you realize. Do you want to talk about that?
I've done a lot of little snippetized things, and we've talked a lot. I don't want to go on and on about, I mean, I'll go on all day. Instead of getting into the super depth stuff where you go back to like 1975 in Washington, D.C. at Providence Hospital. I'm kidding. I'm not going to go into that.
What was the guy you watched?
Which guy?
The Grease.
Oh, the Grease Man. You guys want to watch? No. These are all inside joke. I feel like in a very short expletive, the Strength in the Human process or project was not called that to begin with. We have developed all of these things over the last, let's just say 6 or 7 or 8 months. I don't know what it was exactly. Through a challenged military career in good and bad ways, and through being somebody who I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've always been somebody to give a lot of my time and myself to others. Now that sounds somewhat like you're going, hey, look at you. No, it actually, through that, and also struggling for many, many years as a single father, some failed relationships, which I'm actually proud to own them. Not as proud of how they went, but it made me a stronger person for sure. And through the process of watching people come and go in my life, and I think this started way back in the old days. I lived in a very unique scenario, which we can explore at a later time. With that being said, somewhere along the line, the wheels of progress and all the experiences and all of the different highs and lows kind of clicked together. And I realized that I had been, there had been a calling on some level, and this is not a supernatural thing. Many people, from Josh, who I give all the credit to for so many things, friends, family, certain coworkers, military stablemates, things like that, people that I've met out and about, were always in the background asking for that personality and that giving mentality to do something for yourself for once. And that will bring out the reality and the truth of who you really are. And for years, as a struggling single father, still trying to give my time, be the best troop I could be the good leader, or follower, depending on what we're doing. Try to be a good employee as well as be the best father I can, being the almost solo act for my daughter, except for some great people in the village. But I'm saying as the daily, I found myself being very productive. But at the same time, it was a hamster wheel of productivity. It was to get things done always, right?
Yep.
And you saw that. Everybody did. And it was good. It was a good thing. But at some point, there was a reality check. And again, Josh and some great folks, and you all know who you are. Finally, I started to realize this key phraseology, and I don't like the term, but you got to just be who you are and do what you do, that kind of a thing. When people say, just do what you do, be who you are, be yourself. You start to think about that as you get older or when you're younger, but most of us do it later, and you realize what that really means is, in short, is when you actually start to do things for yourself, which I was always afraid would be selfish, so I would shortchange myself. I realized when you start to do things that are good for you, you start to break old habits, you start to break patterns, and you also start to impact others in a positive way because you're your best version of the time. So that's what had kind of happened over a very long 20 plus year, but let's just say 20 years. Let's keep it within the military ranks since Delaware, after the Washington, D.C. years, carrying a lot of that baggage and working through it. But this 20-year career has seen me go from a very young-minded but wise kid to a pretty well-adjusted, very, very heavily ridden, physically and mentally, guy that's middle-aged and wanting to finally do what's right for himself in order to empower others. That came with the strength training bit, obviously. It came with perseverance. It came with staying the course, frugality. It came with getting to know and really relate and become extremely close with a very, very interesting crew of people that I am not even humbled by and not even going to say proud of. I'm already those things. I'm in awe of on some level that all of these struggles and victories, as we say, have come to this point where now this trail in life is not only easier because of proper choices and aligning certain things, but it's also more exciting than ever because things are lining up where only we can be successful because we're reinvesting that energy. So that might not answer every question that you may have to ask on that topic, but that's where I'm at right now. And the process and project started from a lot of years of pain and a lot of years of incredible highs. And I figured going forward, let's partner up. Let's start to help ourselves get better, and in the process, let's help others do the same.
Yeah.
And our journey's always the theme of the journey is always going to have something to do with strength.
Obviously.
Whether we're our biggest, or smallest, or weakest, or our strongest, that has been. It's not even. It's hard to put into words how important in different ways that has been. That lifting and doing strongman and constantly staying active. And forget athletics and baseball and football. I'm saying just literally as a driven gene inside of us, or me, or whatever, you have it too. Mm-hmm. If that piece was not there, I don't know if either one of us and many others that we know would actually even be able to function. So it's kind of like it becomes, I don't want to say an addiction, it becomes part of your DNA. And it was quite literally in many instances what saved my life. I don't want to say in like a life and death way. I'm saying it quite literally was what I relied on in the darkest times through a 20-year span to pull me through. It's not the answer to everything, but it sets the tone to being successful. So that's where we've always been married in that way, and that's where we're going to continue to utilize that theme through our journey. And as we said, and Josh said, for you to interact, we don't want everyone to do what we're doing. We just want you to be able to exploit what is important for you in the same ways, like in that depth, and then reinvest that as your journey, as your push, as your engine. Okay, so that's where I'll go today.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good synopsis of
at least where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, because we could be hours on this discussing this, and I think
and that'll come. We have nothing to.
Oh no, we have nothing to hide, and we'll get more in depth with this. But you know, as for today, we wanted to get the podcast out that we promised you, and we wanted to kind of give you a little insight of who we are, what we're about, and you know, kind of where our beginnings are, and where we want to be. So with that being said, I mean,
Oh, you know why I keep looking at my phone? I just got to say this. I don't do this because I'm not hung up on the phone to be like doing two things at once. Quite literally, as we're filming this right now, people are reaching out about wanting to know where this is and if they could be a part of one. So I will continue to answer those kinds of texts because that means you all are interacting.
Yeah, please, you know, message us if you guys want to be a part of it. We'll absolutely have you. But you know, for today's podcast, I mean, we basically wanted to give you a little bit of insight on us, talk a little bit about the pillars of strength, and show you how we're using those things to guide us in our journey, and that we've used to guide us in our journey. So, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, if all of that is balanced, you have a pretty strong base. And sometimes one of those things might be a little weak. I mean, for me right now, it's physical because of my eye, but I'm allowing those other three pillars to help me figure out where I want to be and what I want to do.
Stabilizers.
Correct.
They're like stabilizer muscles.
So, you know, it happens to everybody, and, you know, we want you to take care of you. We want you to be the best you that you can be. We try to put these positive messages out. I try to put out the positive quotes for the day, the thoughts for the day. If you guys have something that you hold near and dear to your heart as a quote that you live by, please put it on the page. Please share it. Within the next coming weeks, I think I'm going to announce this now, we are starting up the YouTube channel. We talked about that today. We discussed it. And because we're doing fairly well on Facebook and Instagram, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the YouTube channel, so you guys will be able to watch us and follow us on YouTube as well.
It's a little better, as you guys love, and we all like YouTube for certain reasons. I think the main piece of that, besides the natural fruition of that, I feel like it's a little more organized.
Yes. Where
instead of having to surf through a news feed or actually go to a Facebook page, you can literally link over to YouTube when you see something that interests you, and you can get all of our content right there.
Absolutely.
I think it's a lot easier. Yeah.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna have some more podcasts here in the next coming days. We're gonna have some interviews come in. So please stay tuned. Please give us your feedback. We want your feedback, and we want you guys to participate in our journey.
Got two requests on feedback. Usually you see something that looks like this, or you see something that looks like this, right?
Yep.
A like or a dislike. If you like it, just like if you dislike it, could you please do that? Either way, we're all about that. As a matter of fact, I love dislikes so I can learn more about what we're doing wrong. If you like something, can you tell us what you liked? If you don't like something, because we're trying to keep this completely positive, could you let us know what you didn't like? And because you guys have those juices flowing, could you let us know how we can better our content? We are very, very much learning. You are watching this experiment happen as being a part of it as well. If something is not good, please tell us that sucked. I'm good with that. Can you just tell us why, and maybe give a suggestion as to what you would have done differently? Because every time we see any kind of comment, or I talk to somebody like I've been doing rudely so during this, I like to get somebody's feedback and see what their interest level is and what they want to see, so we can morph this thing into something that's much, much more appealing.
Yep.
Very important to me.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I've had a few people ask me questions about the stuff I'm wearing, like right now. The apparel that I'm wearing is actually from a good friend of mine. I met him at the training center. Yep. He also he's a traveling tech for nuclear power plants and stuff like that. But him and his wife actually own the company. It's Bellringer Athletics. Mike Guyton. He's going to be down in the area sometime in May. So I've already spoken with him. He's going to do some workout sessions with us, and he's also said he was willing to, chat with us a little bit. So hopefully we're looking forward to that as well. The reason I wear it is because it's comfortable. I love it. You guys can check them out. They have Instagram, Facebook. It's Bellringer Athletics. Their website's bellringerathletics.com.
We can hook that up on Facebook. And
yep,
Instagram.
I think it's already hooked up on Facebook. I have them on the bottom there where they're liked on our page. So take a look at them, take a look at their gear. They won't steer you wrong. I love you guys, and can't wait to see you, Mike, when you come down here.
I want to, before we, if we close, can we go over, like, I just want to go over, like, the theme for this was obviously where we came from.
Yep.
But Josh had spent some time putting down some thoughts on paper, and we are referring you to it today because it is important to hit these notes. Can we go over one at a time? The pillars of strength.
Yep.
Let's call them out.
All right. So first off, let's talk about strength. Okay.
Yep.
So not only is it about physical strength or how much weight you can press over your head, right? It also entails mental determination to attain the goals you set for yourself each day, right?
And with that being said, we want to make sure that I want to be very clear in our English. I think it's so important to be clear with your English. Everyone can say the same thing and mean 5,000 different things. When we talk about strength in the human, we are not referring to weightlifting, correct?
That's correct.
You can have that, and that can be very much part of your strength journey.
Yep.
It does not have to be. So right off the bat, I want you to ixnay any of those thoughts. You'll see a lot of that in our content because that's what we love.
Yep.
We are talking about strength from what Josh just read to you.
Yep.
Okay?
And I have a note to wrap that all up. But you know, when you look at the pillars of strength, you have your definition of them, right? You have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So physical is the ability to care for your body through exercise, sleep, and good diet.
Right.
We preached that in our first episode. Right. We preached it to the young men of valor.
Right.
So I mean, that's basically what we're talking about. We're talking about physical. Mental is the ability to maintain focus on productivity, personal core values, thought process for decision making, committed education, self-development while maintaining integrity.
Honor. You hear that word in our posts. You see it in our thoughts of the day. You see it in the comments section. You see it in videos. You hear it mentioned in shout outs all the time at the end of a workout. If you don't have the honor piece or the integrity piece, I call it the Klingon warrior mentality. It's a Star Trek reference, okay? The Viking power mentality. It's got nothing to do with Thor. It has to do with there's an honor code that you are not willing to break.
Yep. And
you're being honest and honorable. And if you do something right, you own it. If you do something wrong, you own it and you fix it. So that's what that piece means. That's what that means. That whole piece is about honor and staying honorable and focused.
Yep. So the next one you have is emotional. The ability to assess self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So for me, the social skills part was crucial to me, right? I wouldn't have been able to do this 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So that's one of the things that has improved, and for that has made me a better person and has motivated me to do this with Mike and be a part of this.
On my end with that, I just want to say Josh has the English perfect in layman's terms, even though the English is pretty easy. Reflection.
Yep. Okay,
emotional reflection. I know we're going to talk, I don't want to keep going with COVID, but if this is not the time to reflect with what we have going on, with what we've seen around us, and the time, literal time that we have within ourselves and a smaller crew, it's about reflection. And I can tell you, with, like I explained earlier, my journey, I have done so much reflection, well, for a long time, but so much reflection in the last 6 months, it can make your head spin, and I want everybody to do that kind of reflection. So with the emotional piece, if there's nothing else right now, you know what to do with your emotions, reflect on yourself.
Correct. And then the last one is spiritual, right? Ability to finding a higher purpose in life.
Absolutely.
Right? So whatever that journey may be, take advantage of it, do the best you can do, be honorable about it, and follow it through. All right? I mean, that's what we're about. I mean, that's basically what we are about, and that's what this journey is about. We're going to follow this thing through wherever it may take us, the ups and the downs, but we're going to have a positive attitude about it, and you know, it can only get better from here. So
I think a lot of times with the spiritual piece, I think a lot of times all of us, I'm the lack of religion guy. You have people that have massive need for religion. You have people that find strength and spirit in so many ways, nature. However, it doesn't matter. However you feel that, it is that, I call it, I don't want to say the sixth sense, it's more of that extra sense that people feel in different times of their life. I believe that needs to be exercised just as driving you. What's that special something? And that's that spiritual sense. So wherever you draw it from, whether it be the earth, whether it be your prayers, whether it be the cosmos and just that incredible wonder that you may have about these different natural occurring things, whatever, it doesn't matter, that's for you. But the idea is that follow that spirit, and that is absolutely going to help you guide and help you be a better in tune with the other pillars of strength, guaranteed.
All right. So I'm just going to leave you guys with this final thought. We'll be done for the day. Just to kind of wrap everything up and bring this all back in. To find strength in all 4 pillars, it comes down to you transforming yourself with your own strength. Right? I think that wraps that up pretty good, and it kind of summarizes what you were just talking about. So with that, stay tuned. There's going to be more podcasts coming, I promise you. We're getting the YouTube channel up and running. That'll be here probably within the next couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
When that happens,
we hope sooner.
Yeah, when that happens, we will definitely let you know. Please keep giving the feedback. Please keep messaging us, and let's keep this thing going, guys. All right, stay safe, stay positive. Right,
Absolutely.
Viking power.
Gift is the